I'm Reed, this is Crowland Publishing. This is day, whatever it is, 20-something of the quarantine. Cannibals everywhere, madness, but we're still going strong. So welcome to the first of our new series called The Hook, in which we do the concept of a campaign hook and the execution. And today we are doing, unsurprisingly, the apocalypse. So the concept of an apocalyptic campaign is this. The DM wants to blow up the world, the players want to stop them. That's it. But before we go too much further, we need to be specific in our concept. What is exactly your apocalypse? Is someone summoning a great meteor to blow everything up? Are the stars going to come right and Cthulhu and all his little squiddy mates are going to pop up? Maybe someone has unleashed a horrible plague that will destroy all sentient life. All life. Maybe someone has broken the law of death and now undead dudes are popping up all over the shop. Maybe someone has just created a giant machine and stuffed it with dynamite and is ready to blow the fuse and earth-shattering kaboom! Or maybe it's just Godzillas, just 25 Godzillas and they've been drinking. The trick is also to understand the scope of your apocalypse. Is this just elves are going to destroy all humans forever? Or is someone going back in time, they're going to go back to the very moment of the Big Bang and snuff it out? These things happen on a spectrum, and it's best for you to decide going in how high fantasy you want this to be. A terrible plague that's wiping out all the villages? Low fantasy. All the dragons opening the gates to the Netherstorm at the beginning of time? High fantasy. Then, next thing, who's doing this? Who is blowing up the world? So traditionally, world-ending baddies are super liches, super dragons, evil gods, major demons, and their cults. There's also increasingly Lovecraftian entities that wants to come into our world and destroy it or enslave people or do whatever. But, D&D has a lot of world-ending threats that we don't see come onto stage very often. So you can have elementals, you can have titans, you can have maybe the Great Modron March, which was important in 2nd edition, is going to be in your campaign. There is loads and loads of entities throughout all the monster manuals and all the D&D lore that can and will destroy the universe. So think about more than just Vecna, think about more than just Tiamat. What happens when the Myconids, the Mushroom Men, reveal their master plan? What happens when the elder brains of the Mind Flayers finally do blot out the sun? What happens when the Celestials decide that humanity is too sinful to survive? What happens when the elder evils, like Zargon the Returner, return? D&D has a lot of lore, D&D has a lot of epic level bad guys. Your favourite fantasy novel has a lot of lore, has a lot of epic level bad guys. Dig deep. And of course, you don't actually need to use a definite bad guy. This can be an accident. This can be just the stars, the astral conjunctions are coming right. An alchemist just mixes up something in a lab and now the Grey Goose scenario of deep fantasy is happening. Loads and loads and loads of ways to start an apocalypse. So can the apocalypse be stopped? Alright, now real talk. I know that as DMs we're supposed to be all, player agency is really, really important. The players must be able to control the narrative. But, sometimes just sod it. Sometimes the king is going to get assassinated and sometimes the goblin is falling in love with the player. We take things out of player hands all the time. It's just a light touch knowing when and how to do it. So ask yourself, is the world going to blow up no matter what? If the world is blowing up no matter what, give the players some victories they can win. Maybe they become gods on the other side of the apocalypse. Maybe they just manage to save the souls of all humanity. Something like that. Some victory they can win. I find actually, though, that the best thing to do is to blow up the apocalypse in the 6th session, and then the whole new world is an exciting new... And you need to give them a good reason to destroy the world as well. Maybe they think they'll become an evil demon lord, or an evil angel, or an evil god. Maybe they're so insane that they think they're doing the right thing. All humanity is a disease. Maybe they're taking a horrible revenge, but on who? Maybe life and death itself. You took my wife from me, and now I cannot find her soul. I will destroy the afterlife until I find her. Maybe elves are just going, look, honestly, humans, I've had enough of your ballyhoo. No more of you. No more pollution. None of that. Maybe destroying the world will keep the universe safe. It's hard to make a horrible, destructive, genocidal bastard sympathetic. Don't always try, but just have it in your head. Why? Because destroying the world, it's not just something that you just do. Anyway. And then we get to the execution. What is actually going to happen during an apocalyptic campaign at the table? What adventures are you going to go on? What kind of NPCs are you going to meet? That sort of stuff. So during the writing of this script, I came up with, at least half a dozen ideas for what can happen during an apocalyptic campaign, but these videos go long and honestly, we want to get straight into it. So Here is my idea for what is the simplest and the best and the easiest kind of apocalyptic campaign to run in D&D. I think that you should start in media res, in the middle of things. You can write a handout, if you like, telling everyone what's going on. Everything's on fire, everyone's got a headache, there are fire, there are earthquakes, all the dragons have discovered crack. It's a bit of a nightmare. Things are going terribly, terribly wrong. Or, but if you don't want to do a handout, because loads and loads of players just never read them, you just do a big dramatic monologue, you put on the Hans Zimmer music and then go, these are the end times. Quick anecdote about doing that kind of prequel, that kind of scene setting. The best game I ever ran with Armageddon as a theme was a first edition World of Darkness game. They played elder vampires, which in D&D terms is just high-level characters. And this was 500 years before these dudes accidentally awoke a primordial vampire, which, end times for vampire games. And I ran it for 2 sessions. I told everyone at the beginning, this is a prequel. You're definitely going to die at the end. I'm a narrative DM. That's how I roll. The players were like, yep, cool. And then when they saw what had happened, when they played it out, the players, not the PCs, but the players had context for the chronicle, for the campaign that was about to come. And in fact, one of the characters that they played went on to become an important NPC. I would highly recommend that if you're going to give an apocalypse a go, that was an effective technique for me. Maybe it will be for you. So because you're going to start during the apocalypse, or at least the beginning of the apocalypse, you are a part of the effort to stop this, and quickly. It starts on your first adventure. Maybe you are agents of the crown. Maybe you are agents of the temple. Maybe you are agents of the gods. Maybe you are just being risen up and you are specifically agents of the earth itself who are looking to stop this thing. Maybe the first session is that you stop a zombie horde, you capture the necromancer who raised them, and he reveals he works for the death god, and oh dear, this dude works directly for the death god, like he's met him, they hang out. He shoved the death god, played cards with the death god. The trick is that you want to bring on the apocalyptic themes as soon as you can. Prequel if you can. First session if you must. But just get them on there really, really quickly, because this is a campaign hook. You don't want to waffle around for 7 or 8 sessions and then go, oh yeah, by the way, the Earth is ending. That's no good. Then you need to actually think about the structure of the campaign. I wouldn't try and reinvent the wheel here. I would just do a very, very old school, simple kind of D&D campaign. You need to collect things to stop the bad guys' plans. You need to unite the 5 holy chi stones. You need to release the 5 elemental dragons. You need to shut the gigantic hellgate. You need to kill the angel of the abyss. You need to find the 35 ingredients that will cure the monster plague. You need to free the goddess of mercy. There's a lot of reasons you do this, is that so that you have a narrative momentum. It's chapters in a book. You defeated that bad guy, you go on to the next bad guy, and you can slowly ratchet up the tension. And also, the D&D narrative is, I started out killing kobolds, now I'm killing Medusas, now I'm killing dragons, now I'm killing gods. That works really, really well when you've got an increasingly hard series of tasks to do. And also, you can see your PCs doing good. You can see them helping, which, it's a good feeling in a D&D game to help people. You do kill the first zombie horde. You do stop the dragons setting fire to everything. You do watch the world get incrementally better as you drag it away from the abyss, bit by bit. But there's a dark side to that. Because while the PCs are kicking monster ass, while where the PCs are is better, the world as a whole is not doing so well. It's an apocalypse. You hear words of cities falling where you are not. You hear about how your allies have failed to stop the right, and that's why suddenly the moon is scarred in the sky. As you find your way to the ancient temple where you can commune with the god of peace and healing, village after village is empty. Graveyards are filled. Nature is horrible. Forests have become dark and foreboding. Grasslands are now suddenly horrible fungi that spread and eat and destroy. As a DM, you need to keep pressure on the world. You need to keep pressure on the PCs. They must not forget that there is a time limit that they are going to lose unless they keep moving on. That is an important part of the campaign. There is a time limit and the world will end. And they cannot save everything, so they must prioritize. Do it like sandbox gaming. You give them a variety of options, and you say, okay, you can stop this, or this, or this, or this. You can't stop it all. And sometimes it's going to be heartbreaking. Sometimes you're going to feel bad about not being able to help everybody out, but it's an apocalypse. And the clock is ticking because the campaign is on a literal timer. The Night of the Blood Moon is coming in X amount of sessions. The Storm King will return, and your players are the only ones who can stop him from forming the Infinite Storm. That is the pressure. That is the clock that we're talking about. Much like your mum, you've only got so much time and so many resources before you can stop the bad guy's climax. So what your players are going to have to do, and this is what the adventures of a campaign will actually be, gather allies, find magical weapons, learn rare magic, learn the weaknesses of the baddies, things like that. Stopping the bad guys, ending the apocalypse, is a matter of having the right resources and knowing how to use them and deploying them effectively in your final big end set piece, because that is what you're working towards, is a big end set piece. You're going to stop the annihilation ritual by breaking into the Hood Lord's dark fortress. You will do the Rite of the Cleansing Moon while the wave after wave of dragons attack. The Death Titan army will manifest on the world, and this is, as a DM, this is your moment to shine. This is the big set piece at the end. You must figure out exactly how these various abilities and gifts and technologies that the players have gathered are going to play out in the end set piece, and then really plan it out. Bust out the big guns. This is the moment the DMs live for. Get into it, be excited about it. But another little anecdote. Tad Williams' Austin Ard books, Memory, Sorrow and Thorn, has a fantastic twist on all this, is that the characters have been following the playbook of this ancient prophecy for the entire trilogy. And again, spoiler, 25-year-old book though. And it turns out that at the end, the bad guy wrote the prophecy. They have actually been doing his bidding all along. It's a very cool twist, something to think about for canny GMs. But Christian, you say, I'm a player. What should I be thinking about in an Apocalypse campaign? Well, first of all, DMs should have been offering you kinds of character hooks. They should be offering you ways into the campaign. Some suggestions I would have: maybe you're a Dirty Dozen style gang who have been spared the gallows in return for doing the incredibly dangerous work of stopping the end of the world. Maybe they are a scholar of the bad guy, a bard who haunts the ancient places, or a wizard who has learned of the terrible secrets of the stars. Maybe they were a former servant of it, like a warlock, or maybe they still are. Maybe a sorcerer is the bloodline of the great Armageddon dragon. A fighter might be pledged to die for queen and country no matter what. A paladin might serve Earth itself. Monk feels the chi force dying. A personal link, some reason to volunteer, some reason to really set yourself in the path of the end of all things, is what players should be building into their PCs. But more importantly, players in an Apocalypse game, make your characters have something to lose. For once, an extensive backstory is actually going to be an appropriate part of a PC. You have family and friends and spouses and masters and mates, and maybe you even have kids, and they are going to die unless you stop them. Maybe you come from the temple of the serene, lovely goose, and at the thought of it being destroyed, you are just devastated. Maybe you are in love with the queen that you serve, and you know that she will be sacrificed to the devil god unless you are the one who stops him. Maybe you're just a simple country girl and you're fighting to protect your community that you love from the devil pox, because you know that it is coming. But be aware, the DM can and should come after them. There is a chance you might very well lose these things, these people, these places, so don't create anything that you'd be terrified to lose. There will very certainly be angst in your future. But the payoff to an Apocalypse game, the risk of all this death and destruction and horror, is that you can stop it. You should stop it. You should at least have a very good chance to stop it. And it feels good to be the savior of the world and to know that everybody is alive because you helped them out. It's a good feeling. Apocalypse campaigns are great. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give us a like. Please tell your friends and subscribe. The channel's growing really slowly. So thank you very much. And we're probably going to do a war campaign next.